don't know if I did. Well, I just happened to do an English one this time. Didn't even think about it. Just happened. But anyway, I actually forgot last time I did one, and well, I don't feel I have too much time today. Anyway, to make a long one, but yeah, I'll just do some minutes, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know. I'm just, some people, interacted with some people on X. Most of it's all the accounts or just at least that follows me, and it's just a fake account or just trying to sell you stuff in wicked ways. So I mean, hard to know if it's actually a genuine conversation. Someone just starts a conversation. I don't know. It's just I don't know if I'm like, for example, someone I heard or who said hello and started a conversation, I think yesterday or some days ago, and it still continues to have some sort of communication today too. She wants me to believe she's your girl from Leeds and stuff, and well, first of all, I'm just skeptical and can't be 100% sure that it's actually true. It's true. It could be someone. Yeah. I've recently in my life, or recently, but last couple of years, for reasons that I can't go into now, but I've bumped into people who are much more let's say not sneaky, but just people that if they were not super near, I would sort of think of them as they would be people that would do some things that are, well, for example, something like that, just pretending to be an account on some social media, and then just to be honest, I could actually, if I was really curious about someone, I might actually do that just to see. I've never done it, but I can just imagine myself doing it. But if the intention is to just be creepy and just weird, then it's just like, well, where's your self-worth? It's, yeah, I don't know, it's just weird. So messy minds, that's how I think about it. What as a minister in Sweden call it, what happened to them? What did they grow up in? What was that? It's like, yeah, never mind the reference. It's really like, it's almost sad to even be in that sort of unsure mindset. I mean, I can be unsure in some ways, but not in that way. It's as if that sneaky sort of cruelty just is to hide their insecurities in social settings. Some securities that I didn't even knew I had, that were so obvious to me, and so like how messed up some people is socially. I mean, I thought I was sort of, yeah, we're all weird in our own ways, but some people are just wrecked. What have they been through? What I mean, it's such a messy place to even, that really makes you appreciate the value. Just, yeah, opportunity cost, or just throw out the bad stuff, like Charlotte Munger principle. Best thing is to invert, like if you want to help India, the question you need to ask is, how can I hurt India? And when I know that I can, the answer is, how do I avoid it? And this is an obvious thing. What type of mindset? What do you want to have in your brain? That's sort of the most ridiculous thing you can spend your time on. It's like just, yeah, cabbage between your ears. So that's what you have if you're into that. And it's sad. I mean, what is that type of person? What have that type of person been through to just be, yeah. It's and anyway, if we pretend, and if I don't think of it as sort of, I mean, it's a fun thing to just experiment with. So I interacted and sort of was told what I was thinking. Like he or she had a name that was sort of, it sounded that as if it was made up, and I had a hard time to believe her, if it was a her, that it actually was her real name, which she claimed, or it's sort of a nickname. But the thing is, yeah, I don't know. She seemed to be quite irritated or something, like sort of, I don't know. But if she was genuine in her interaction, just was not a sort of trolling or something like that. Actually had a picture on her, claimed at least it was a picture of her. Then she seemed to be sort of, well, curious and sort of searching for new things, but yeah, you can't really get it. You might have to know someone for a year in order to know who they really are, privately know them for a year, because that's what science says. And for sure, you and I, or someone may be better than average, but still, up to a year is probably. And this is just a short interaction. I can't possibly know. I don't even know if it's the girl or woman from Leeds that the account person from the account actually claims to be, and if it is, she seemed to be sort of irritated and just, I don't know. Yeah, we went into some sensitive things, but it can't be like, I don't know, that sort of mode of sort of acting is something that everyone encountered it. It just strikes you as, yeah, that's I have to say that it's more common. It's sort of a typical sort of women thing that women usually are quite often, and you could even say that it's something that women are quite well. Almost every woman is like that sometimes, and I'm not sure that that's bad. Maybe it's good. I don't know. It's like you have to sort of, it's emotional punishing to be present or to be directed in communication for someone who is in that sort of irritated and agitated state, and it's most of the time it just hurts themselves. I think, like they're people, yeah, but as a mode of sort of punish, I mean, you have to have tactics, so to speak. It sounds manipulative to speak in those terms, but you have to have tactics to not hurt people, but to sort of punish. I mean, tit for tat is the most moral thing you can do most of the time. If I do something that is bad, let's say to a woman, in some way that is not, let's say, respectful, then an irritated response is the right thing to do, because I did something that was not really respectful. But then it comes back to, is that person overly sensitive? And perhaps the person is, or perhaps the person is not, and it's always yeah, can go back and forth about that, because there's kind of sort of standard thing that men say about women, that they're overly sensitive about something, and I think 50% of the time that's correct, and 50% of the time probably the man was not feeling into enough. Perhaps that's a wild guess. I mean, it's probably both, depending on the situation, the persons involved and stuff. But all those tactics, like if the other side, every time there's a side that goes, oh, that steps back and goes into the mode of realizing, oh, I was learned, I did something that was wrong. Every time you have that response in a biological organism, you always have the risk of being exploited. The other person makes you believe that you have been done something wrong, but when in reality you have not, and that other person is either oversensitive or just wanting to get some type of advantage or exploiting you, and that could be like really close people too. So that's why it's important with people who you hang around with and stuff. But yeah, she seemed sort of, first of all, my first impression was sort of curious and just exploring, but perhaps not super bright, and now it's more like sort of she's irritated, and perhaps it even like this was into stocks and stuff, and a woman that's into stocks, I mean, I think that's good, but I happen to just associate that with sort of very low H factor behavior. I don't know why, but getting rich quick and all those things. But I mean, I still believe in trying to get from financial independence in both women and men. I mean, usually it could also be, it's like being curious about it. I think it's good for women too, but I just happen to associate it with sort of low honesty, humility, or sort of, yeah, manipulative or something akin to that. But perhaps because it was coupled with this sort of, yeah, I don't know, sort of attitude. But It's a funny thing though that all the things that you sort of are very sort of, I don't like the word, privileged to have. Well, it's really a complicated thing, because if you don't feel the how should you put it, the positive sensations coupled with having some privileges, is it really a privilege to them? I mean, it's a really tricky thing, because like there's so many stuff that we don't have, like like war and famine and sort of all those like sicknesses, and just we don't want that. But you can say that, okay, how good we have it then if we don't have all that shit. But if we don't have it, I mean, it's not in my world. Yeah, for sure, in general, you want, yes, you do want the world when you're without that, all those troubles. But in some way, I'm not sure I guess it just comes down to variation in experience in the population, because I do think that, I guess, the happiness is higher in countries where there's things are not the problem, but it just comes down to people are different, and there are many people who are not sort of happy and feel fulfilled in that type of life. Anyway, despite I mean that type of life that we have in here, sort of in Sweden or in the West, there's still immense suffering and just stuff. But yeah, where I was thinking about those people who have such tragic minds that they engage in those type of things, and or have just that type of, I don't know if you call it bitchy or just irritated attitude. That's sort of at least something I can understand, because I relate to it. Everyone can be irritated, but you have to switch out of it. But this sort of sneaky thing, that's more sad. That's really just cabbage. It's, and the cure, are those minds destroyed forever? Perhaps their lives are sort of, maybe this is the test. I don't know if it can be changed. I don't know. I'm speaking out of context in this video. No, I'm just thinking about stuff that's not really like so distantly related. But some people are obviously having really, really huge problems with how their brain is functioning socially, and they are never going to be or feel as a part of something that's is always going to be this sort of hesitant, sneaky behavior that's just, and in that respect I can feel sort of privileged, so to speak, because I'm not sure they experience it as bad or some like suffering, but it's sort of as realizing. I mean, you can be in Swedish what's called olyckligt ovetandes, like you're lucky because you don't know how bad you are, sort of. You're lucky in your ignorance, so to speak. Like if you're let's say you're in a class and you're the best in, let's say, high jumping, and you feel, and then suddenly you see that the average person in your town or in your country, average person in the class, of all high jumpers in your age, jumps higher than you are, just because your class is so damn dumb and bad in high jumping that you appeared to be the best, but you were not even average. If you did not know that what the average was you only knew about the class you were in, you were sort of happy about it, never didn't even know that you were bad. That's sort of the state that my guess is that they're living in, sort of, that they're sort of, I'm not sure that they feel pain or stuff, they just in that. And but when you're from the outside and seeing how far down they are in their behavior and how they interact and the things they try to sort of poke with people and trying to get a reaction or drive them in some way or another, if you see that clearly what they're actually doing, that's really seeing that person in that class being sort of thinking of themselves as, but in reality they don't know how fucked up their brains are, or sort of how yeah, it is really sad. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really think about this girl as that, but I started to think about that. I don't know exactly why I started to think about them. Those sort of more sad cases. This because that the attitude this girl had is just more like you've bumped into it before you recognize it, and it's just a shrug. You're just okay. But I'm a curious person, so I just keep interacting, and well, what should I say? To bli uppvaktad av en, tjej, jag vet inte. Man känner sig kanske lite smickrad, vad vet jag. I don't know the English word for that. Sorry about that. So, yeah. Actually saw that I got a message from that girl right a minute ago. I'm not even sure where to go with that. I thought she would not answer my latest question. She asked how old I was when I responded, and I asked how old she was. And I thought, well, is she so irritated that she will say that her response is, well, it's more sensitive if it's about girls, so I won't answer, or something like that, then it will really be like sort of that's the type of thing that I was actually sort of somewhat surprised that she actually answered. But I don't know. but it sort of strikes me as sort of, it's something about her that strikes me as sort of searching and sort of, I can sort of couple her with that sort of one type of the mindset that with yeah, some people that I bumped into that sort of strikes me as I forgot the exact association that popped up in my mind, but sort of yeah, searching, sort of searching, not insecure. I say insecure in a way that can both be positive and negative. It's sort of an insecurity that's both, we say, frail and with a lot of potential, perhaps, in some way. I don't know, but still sort of, yeah. And there are always extremely amount of nuances to people's behavior. I mean, no single person behaves exactly the same, but for sure there are rules to psychology and stuff. But it's so amazing how many people we can, I mean, well, it's another thing with this sort of post on X, that sort of discussion of how everyone else perceives you in a different way. Than there are sort of many sort of yous, not only you but all the you that other people see, and no one sees you exactly the same, which is sort of scary, and it's true. But what's also interesting is that there's so, and I started I think about this. I guess all people are like me, but perhaps I am. It's almost as if I want to believe that I'm sort of more extreme on this, but I guess I'm not. I mean, because I guess people feel extremely. No, I actually don't think I'm unique in this. But it is fascinating to me how extremely clearly a person is distinguished for someone else when you sort of have just known them for a very short time. It's just extremely clear. You know their sort of voice, their behavior, their sort of mind, how they look. It's so many characteristics. You can never sort of mistake someone for someone else unless you're from a big distance, or if it's from behind. Perhaps you could. There are so many things that makes it interesting that we can distinguish between people so extremely well. I just happen to be fascinated about that. Well, let's make this sort of live. I can actually see the answers here from the